So again, I'll again inform you that your quiz will be in the next week, that is 2nd of March. So try to attempt that quiz. So I'll send you the details of the quiz, that actually at what time and what exactly be the pattern of it. Okay. So quiz will be taken both of the batches. It will be at the same time and it will be taken on Google Form. Okay. So now in this topic, that is your error handling topic. Okay. So error handling, it's sometimes also called as error control. Okay. So what we do, suppose why we need error handling is that suppose there is a simple thing that when you transmit a packet, and that packet, suppose there is a very traffic on the way that on which this particular packet is following. There are many packets already on the similar path. Okay. So due to some traffic or some other things, that suppose you're not able to reach and your packet is lost. Okay. So either entire buffer is filled, so you start discarding the packets. Okay. So you already know that if the certain packet does not reaches at the receiver side, it will be a timeout at the sender side. So sender will again try to send the same packet again. Okay. So if the traffic is slow, you can again consider that that packet is reaching a lot of time, taking a lot of time to reach to the receiver here. So again, after the timeout, the sender will again send the same packet. Okay. So in the similar way, you are actually sending the same packet again and again, and you are actually increasing the traffic. Okay. So that is why when you are that when there are more chances that your packet is getting lost. Okay. Wait a second. Okay. So now there is no error. If you're seeing here, there is no error. Now this is the procedure of flow control. You already know that. Okay. So if this kind of thing happen, you can write retransmit and another congestion. There is congestion control, but I'll discuss this congestion control in transport layer because it is not the functionality of a data link layer. Okay. Another thing is that you reach the packet has reached towards this. So suppose some packet like containing 1011 has actually reached to the receiver, but actually the bits that is present inside it was changed. Okay. So suppose one bit is changed here. Okay. So the errors are of two type, either a single bit can be corrupted or multiple bit or burst bit. Okay. So sometimes the error is called single bit error, and when multiple bits are corrupted, this is called as burst error. Okay. Burst error means that when there are two or more bits are corrupted. Okay. So in this kind of thing, that you reach the packet, but the received packet is not actually correct. Okay. So this is different packet that the sender has anticipated. Okay. So that is why to handle these kinds of error, your single or multiple or burst errors, we need some error mechanism that is called your error handling. Okay. So for flow control, we have already defined it, that there are acknowledgements and there are timers that are set there. Okay. So one thing that is congestion control, that we will study it in transport layer. So congestion control also is not the responsibility of a data link layer. So congestion will always happen when you're transmitting across different devices. Okay. So if you are in the LAN, congestion there are very less chances of congestion. Okay. So now error handling is again of two types. First one is your error detection and another one is your error correction. Okay. So error detection means that you know that your data is wrong, but you do not know where your data is wrong. So suppose if I from the sender side, you send the data bit as this, and the receiver receives the data bit like this one. Okay. So if you are doing error detection, you only know that this particular received data is wrong, but you do not know what actually is wrong. So what you say, you again send some signal to the sender, negative acknowledgement to the sender, that saying that I have received the packet but it is corrupted, so please send me the packet again. Okay. So this is done by error detection. Second thing is error correction. So error correction, what happens is that when you get error, something like this, you got at the receiver side this. Now the receiver is able to figure out that at which particular position I got the wrong bit. Okay, so that is error correction. Okay, so in error correction there is only one technique, and also it is very complex to use error correction. So I'll tell you that this one technique, this is called as Hamming code. Okay, so I think you may have heard this Hamming code in digital electronics as well, but if you're not heard it, don't worry about it. I will discuss it in complete detail. Okay. Now the error detection techniques are there are four different error detection technique. Okay. Okay, so first two ones are very easy. Single parity check. Second is two-dimensional parity check. Then checksum, and then there is a cyclic redundancy check. Okay, so single parity check. Okay, so single parity check, it can be set for a even parity or a odd parity. So you can use any of the technique here. Either it can be a single or it can be it can be a even. Now what is the meaning of this even and odd? Suppose I have set my parity to even. Okay, so if I set my parity to even, I want to know that whatever packet I've sent, suppose I've sent the packet like this. Okay, so I'm sending my packet in burst of 8 bits. Suppose I'm sending my packets in burst or in packets of 8. So 1011, and then there is a 0 4 4 8. Okay, so if you're seeing here 4 5 6 7 8, sorry. Okay, so now if you're seeing here, I have to now I will stress on the number of ones. Okay, so when you're setting a parity, you will stress on the number of ones. Okay, so now check the number of ones here. 1 2 3 4 5 number of ones here. Okay, so it means that there are odd number of ones, so I have to add extra one to keep this parity as even. So this particular thing will be added by me. And suppose if something happens like this, now if you read now if you are seeing this particular second burst of 8 bits, so this is one packet, this is second packet of 8 bits. Now in this particular case, if you check the number of ones here, it is 1 2 3 4. Okay, so the packet is already in the even form, so I will add a 0 here, so to indicate that it is already even, so I am not adding an extra 0. So I have to maintain even parity, means I have to maintain an even number of ones in a packet. So there will be extra something called a parity bit that will be added at the end of the packet. Okay, so it can be added. Single parity check can look like something like this, and two-dimensional parity check can look a bit different. Okay, so now what you can do is that in two-dimensional parity check, what happens when you are transmitting like 32 bits or more than 32 bits, like 64 bits of data. Okay, so I'll show you single parity here. Now single parity checking is a simple mechanism and very inexpensive to detect the errors. Okay, so what they do, I'll show you also. In this technique, a redundant bit is known as the parity bit, which is appended at the end of the data unit. Okay, so whatever you're sending the data, at the end of it, there is something called a parity bit that is added here. Okay, so that the number of ones become even. So by default, you will use a even parity. Keep in mind, by default, you have to set the even parity. And even parity means that you want to do the number of ones as even. Okay, so at the end of that, so that the number of ones become even, therefore the total number of ones transmitted bits would be 9 bits. If you are sending 8 bits, it will increase 1 bit here. Okay, so the number of ones bit is odd, then the parity bit is 1 is appended, and if the number of ones bits are even, so you have to append only 0 parity bit. Okay, so it will indicate that it is even parity or a odd parity. Okay, so if the parity bit contains 1, it means that it was odd parity before, so I have added 1 to make it even. If the parity bit is 0, it means that it is already a even parity, I haven't added anything. Okay, so now what they do is this particular parity send across the medium towards the receiver. Now when receivers receive this particular thing, it will check the parity bit. Okay, so if the parity bit is 1, it already knows that the number of ones that is contained in the data will be odd. Okay, so because I have added 1 to make the parity as even, so the number of ones that is present inside this data packet will be odd. Okay, so if the receiver finds that the number of ones here are odd, uh, it knows that it receives the correct data. Okay, so now this technique generates the total number of ones and ones, so it is known as even parity checking. Okay, keep in mind you can also check for odd parity checking, so it will depend upon whatever is given to you in the starting. If it nothing is given to you in the starting, just assume that I'm talking about even parity. So by default it will be even parity if nothing is given. Okay, so now this is the procedure here. Suppose now this particular packet that you want to send across to the receiver from the medium. Now check how many ones are there. 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so it is odd. Okay, so odd number of ones, so I have to add an extra one to make this ones as even. Okay, so I'm adding extra one here and I'm sending to the transmission medium, and again it is checking for the parity bit. So it knows by checking the parity bit, it means that this parity bit is added here. So the data that is contained here should contain odd number of ones here. Okay, so if it check if it is actually okay, so it is again directly checking the whole packet. Okay, so if it contains even number of ones, it is directly saying to accept the data. If it does not contain the even number of ones, it means on the way there will be some corruption. Suppose when we are sending the data like this, there is some corruption of any bit. Okay, suppose this bit becomes 0. Okay, so if it becomes 0, now suppose 1011011110, so this bit is changed when we are sending some data. So suppose there is a single bit error. Okay, so when it reaches to the receiver will only check even number of ones. It will only check that there are even number of ones are there or not. So it will check 1 2 3 4 5. So it will see that there are no even number of ones here, so it can directly discard the data, and it will say to the sender, please send me the data again, that the previous packet is already was corrupted. So I'm again asking you to retransmit the data again. So this is how you do it. Okay, so the two-dimensional again the drawbacks of this parity checking is it can only detect single bit errors, which are very rare. So single bit errors are very rare. Keep in mind, and if there are 2 bits, now it can happen that suppose you are transmitting like this. Okay, so 0 0 0. Suppose I am just taking an example. So it will be 1 1 1 1. Okay, so now there are 8 bits. Now you are transmitting this, and in this particular thing you will add a 0 here. Okay, so in the parity bit you will add a 0 here. Now what will happen is that when you are sending the data, what will happen actually, suppose this particular bit becomes 1 and this particular bit becomes 0. Okay, so everything will remain the same. Okay, so now if you're checking here, this particular becomes 1 and this particular bit becomes, due to corruption, this becomes 0. Okay, so when at the receiver side, it will check for the parity bit, it will find that 1 2 3 4 in the data there are 4 number of ones. Okay, so if there are 4 number of ones, it means that the I got a correct data. Okay, so it will not ask for the retransmission, but actually there are 2 bits changed here, and from the sender side and the receiver side data is actually different. Okay, so that is the drawback of single parity checking. Okay, another one is two-dimensional parity check. Now it is again I've said, when you are sending bits, or when you're sending more amount of data, you will always use a two-dimensional parity check. Now in this particular parity check case, what will happen, there are parities on 2 different dimension. I'll show you, just I'll show you with the diagram. Okay, so performance, again it can be improved because the parity check is because the parity check is going to be performed on 2 dimensions, on the first dimension, the row side, and as well as the column side. So that is why it says that it can be improved by adding two-dimensional parity checks, which organizes the data in the form of a table. Okay, so when it organizes the data in the form of table, so here a parity check will be written, and from the column side also a parity check will be written. Okay, so that is the advantage of it. Okay, so parity checks bits are computed for each row, which is equivalent to single parity check. In two-dimensional check, a block of bits is divided into rows and a redundant row of bits is added to the whole block. Okay, so I'll show you which particular, either you add this particular bit or this particular bit. Okay, so just see the example here now. Okay, so now when you are sending uh, large amount of data that I have said earlier. So if you're sending 8 bits, now how many packets are there? Suppose there 1, 2, 3, 4 packets are there. Okay, so now what do? You just divide the data into 4 packets and you are write the packet 1 as this is first packet, this is second, this is third, this is fourth. Okay, now you check the single bit parity check from this side. So there are 2 ones, so you will add a 0 here. Okay, so there are 1, 2, 3 ones, you will add a 1 here. So I'll write it because I think there are some changes here. So I'll write it like this: 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0. Okay, so 1, 2, 4, 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, so 1, 0, then 1, 1, and 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0. Okay, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0. In the similar way, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0. Okay, 0, 0, 1, 0. In the similar way, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, and 1, 0. Okay, so now you can check it. So in this particular case, this is already even, so I'm adding a 1, 0. This is odd because it contains 3 number of ones. I'm adding 1 here. Single parity check I am performing on the column. Okay, so 1, 2, so no need to add a 1 here. 3 ones, so I add a 1 here. 2 ones, no need to add it. 1, 1, you have to add it. 1, 2, 3, 4 ones, so do not need to add anything. And already there are 0 ones here, so it means it is even, so there is no need to add it. Okay, so it will be 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, and 0, 0. Okay, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, and 0. It should be 0, so that is why I've taken this particular thing. Okay, so just now calculate this one from the column side also. Okay, so check it from the column side also. Okay, so from the column side, it will be now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You add a 1 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Add a 1 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there is no need to add anything. And 1, 2, 3. So add a 1 here also. And so this is the parity, actual column parity that I have added. So now check this one. Now add 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you add a 1 here because there are 3 parities. Okay, so now already you have seen that 4 packets that you are sending. Now you have to send an extra packet. Okay, so now your extra packet I think will be this particular packet. Okay, so now check it. I think it is not given there. Okay, so just wait a second. Okay, so what you have to do, you have to send these extra 9 bits, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bits, that too with this data, that is 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, and then 0, 1, and then 0, 0, 1. Okay, so this particular data you have to send it with with these 4 packets. Okay, so that is your how you do two-dimensional parity. Okay, so I think there is some missing diagram here, so I have not added. So if I so this is from this one, so you can check at other example here. I think it is given in Geeks for Geeks. You can check it from this example. So if you're seeing here at the end here, they are sending the column parity, that is 110, 110, 110 and 11. Okay, so 110, 110 and 11 and 0. Okay, so this particular column parity that I get in the end, I will send it across with the data. Okay, so in the similar way your checksum will also function. Now, before doing checksum, there are some disadvantages of 2D parity check. If 2 bits in one data unit are corrupted and 2 bits in the exactly, so again the same procedure that I've already told you in the previous that they are same around the column and row. The 2 bits from the column and 2 bits from the row are changed in such a way you will not be able to detect the error. So that is one disadvantage, but it rarely happens. So again, it's a good technique, but because there is still a limitation, but it rarely happens. Okay, so this technique cannot be used to detect 4-bit errors or more in some cases. Okay, so it can only detect up to 4-bit errors. It cannot detect more than 4-bit errors also. Okay, that is also a disadvantage of 2D parity check. Okay, so there is next technique, that is checksum. So I'll discuss the checksum after I'll discuss the CRC. Okay, so CRC, it's a very simple technique. You just have to perform a division. So I'll take a simple example and I'll show you. So before continuing with the CRC, you have to know that there is something called a CRC generator, and there is something called okay, so I'll tell you. So there is something called a GRC generator and there is something called a CRC. Okay, just wait a second. I'll take example and it will be easy for me as well. Okay, so just wait a second. I can go network group 1, week 7. One. So now in this, I'm taking a simple example of now CRC understand for cyclic redundancy check. Okay, CRC understand for cyclic redundancy check. Okay, so now suppose from the sender side I am trying to send a data that is 10 110 11, suppose something like this. Okay, so there may be something called a cyclic redundancy generator. Okay, so that is CRCG. Okay, so that particular thing will be given to you, that in this particular case it is 1101. Okay, so suppose this particular data that I want to send. So cyclic redundancy generator is something that is automatically generated by your sender machine. Okay, so now what you have to do, keep in mind that just wait a second. Okay, so I'll tell you something about it. Okay, so what I do is, now it's very important you understand, I'm writing it, that is why. So if your CRC generator, okay, so CRCG is of 4 bits. Okay, so suppose it is now in this particular case it is 4 bits. Now you have to add 3 zeros at the end of the sender's data. Okay, so at the end of the sender data, I'll write it, don't worry about it. Okay, so I'm writing it because it's important point. Again I am writing it. If CRC generator is of 5 bits, now you will add 4 zeros at the end of sender data. In the similar way, if CRC generator is of n bits, you have to add n-1 zeros at the end of the sender's data. Okay, so now this is the rule that you have to remember. So the algorithm always goes like this. Okay, so now what you do, you take this particular case, that is 1101, and the sender, if you see here, the sender is, you have to divide it. Okay, the sender is 10111011. Okay, so it is not a simple division, it is a different division. Now because of this particular step in the algorithm, your CRC generator is of 4 bits, you have to add 3 zeros at the end of the sender data. Okay, that is your SD, sender's data. That is the data that sender wants to send towards the receiver. Okay, so these are the 3 zeros that are added. Okay, so now when you divide it, suppose again I do not have to specifically, that is not a traditional division. So I just have to suppose if you want to divide it, you can write it as 1011 once the 1, and it will be 1101. Okay, so again you do not have to write it like 1 2 here, so you can directly write 1001 here. Now what you do, you have to take something called XOR. Okay, so in simple division, what you do, you write the answer here, and you write the answer here, and in that term you begin to subtract. Okay, you do not have to subtract, you have to take a XOR here. Okay, so XOR is, if you remember, it is same bits. If the input is same, if the same bits, then it is 0. Okay, so on same bits it is 0. Okay, so it means that if it is 0 0, then it is 0. If it is 1 1, if it is then it is 0, and if there is 0 1, it will be 1, and if 1 0. Okay, so it is also referred to as modular 2 circuit. Okay, so mod 2 circuit. Now why it is referred to as mod 2 circuit? Because if you look at it, I'll show you. So now how many zeros are there? If you add both of them, you will get a 0. So 0 mod 2 is again 0, and 1 plus 1 is 2. So 2 mod 2 is again 0. Okay, and 1 mod 2, I'm writing 1 mod 2 and 1 mod 2. Okay, so it will be 0, it will be 0, it will be 1, it will be 1. Okay, so that is why it is also referred to as modular 2 circuit. Okay, so keep in mind, it's a very important thing, because if it is not, if you're seeing, it is not that useful in this one, but if there are more circuits, like if there are 4 inputs to you, like 1 0 1 0 1, and you have to calculate the XOR on every particular step. Okay, so you have to calculate XOR here, then here, then here, then here, then here. Okay, but you can directly perform it like 1 2 3. Okay, so 3 modulus 2 will be whatever it is, it will be 1. So the answer will be 1. Okay, so that is why I'm saying that it is a modular 2 circuit. Okay, so now this is just a different part. You may have already done it digital, so I do not want to confuse anything. Okay, so I do not want to confuse. Simple, you have to calculate XOR. So if you do not remember what XOR is, so you can simply follow this truth table. Okay, so now when there are same inputs, it is 0, different input 1, say different input 1, same input 0. Okay, so again you write everything. This is not a simple division here. Write everything, you write everything, and you start with the first one. Okay, so I'm again starting with the first one. I will again write 1 1 0 1 here. Okay, so now it will be different 1, same 0, same 0, same 0. Okay, so I'll write everything 1 1 1 3 zeros. Okay, now again I will follow the same procedure, that is start with the preceding one. Yeah, preceding one, then 1 1 0 1, and you check it, different 0, oh sorry, different is 1, different 1, same 0, same 0. Okay, so write the everything, that is okay. So now again the start with the preceding one, the first one, that is 1 1 0 1, and if you check it, different 1, same 0, same 0, same 0. Okay, so now again, now if you're seeing here, it is calculated here. Now what you have to do, it is simply based on division here. Now what you have to do, because you have to take 3 least significant bit of the remainder. Okay, so 3 LSB, least significant bit. So this one, 3 bits as CRC. Okay, so again why I am taking these 3 bits are CRC, because my CRC generator is 4. Okay, so that is why. Again I'll write this, so do not forget. Okay, so if CRC generator is 4 bits, my CRC will be, CRC is 3 bits. So now this particular thing is referred to as your cyclic redundancy check, that is CRC. Okay, so it will be 3 bits, If your CRC is 5 bits, your CRC will be 4 bits. If your CRC is n bits, your CRC will be n minus 1 bits. Okay, so keep this in mind. Okay, so now what you do, you take this particular CRC. Now this, you have to send this CRC with the sender. Okay, so now whatever you want to send, I want to send 10. This was the initial letter that I want to send. Now with this data, I will send the CRC. Okay, so just wait a second. With this data, I will send the CRC. Now, what is the CRC here? 001. Okay, 001. Okay, so now when you send it across the receiver, so again, receiver already knows what is the CRC generator, that is already discussed. That is already shared between the two of the, that is sender and receiver. It is already shared. Then the communication is started. Okay, so now when this receiver receives the data, it again performs the same procedure. Now in the end, it will not get a remainder as 001 because I have added the 001 towards this particular term. Now in the end, you will only get a 00. Okay, so now check again, perform the same procedure. Same 0, different 1, different 1, 0. Okay, so you write everything as it is, and again 1101, different 0, sorry, different 1, same 0, same 0, same 0. Okay, so 111001. Okay, 1101, and then it is will be different, it is 1, different 1, same 0, same 0. Okay, so in the end you will get 1101, so it will be, everything will be 0. Okay, so when the receiver, after performing the same procedure at the receiver find, it will, if it will get the remainder of 00, 4 zeros or any zero, so it will directly say that the data that is received by me is correct. Okay, so now if somehow, suppose your some bit got corrupted, suppose some bit, when you're sending this data, your some bit got corrupted, suppose I say that this bit, this particular bit got corrupted. Okay, so I, instead of this 1, I got a data as 0. Now at the receiver side, what will happen? Now see, 100, so this is changed to 0, and then 1011, and then 001. Okay, now again check it, what will happen? It will be 1101, same 0, same 0, different 1, same 0. Again it will be 011001, and it will be 1101, different 1, same 0, same different 1, it will be same 0. Okay, so write everything as it is. Again 1101, same 0, different 1, different 1, it will be 0. Now again check it, 1001, and will be 1101, it will be 0000. Okay, so the remainder, if you are seeing here, you have to start it with the preceding one here. This will become a remainder because you cannot write 1001 here. So if you're seeing here, the remainder here is something remainder is there. Okay, so from this, the receiver will know that it is not actually the right data. There is something wrong with it, but it cannot figure out that the third bit is wrong. Okay, so that is how your cyclic redundancy check works. Okay, so now uh, how can you send just wait a second, how? Okay, so this particular thing is also indicated by using terms. Okay, so suppose if I use the term like something like this in terms of polynomial. Okay, so suppose I say x to the raised to the power 3 plus x plus 1. This is my CRC generator. Okay, so I can say that this is my CRC generator, and it is given to you in terms of polynomial. Okay, so polynomial means that some term is raised to some power here. Okay, so 1, This is raised to power 1, this is raised to power 3. Okay, so how can you figure out actually in terms of bit what is your CRC generator is? So what do you do? So keep in mind that you can write it like this one: x plus x raised to power 1, then x raised to power 2, then x raised to power 3. Okay, so now which terms are given to you? That is this one term, this term, and this term, and this is x raised to power 0. Okay, so x raised to power 0 is again 1. So this term is also given to you. Okay, so now what it means that how can you figure out what is the second? Whatever terms are given to you, it means on that terms you have to write 1 and the remaining terms will be 0. Okay, so this terms, that is x raised to power 0, if you know that x raised to power 0 is actually 1 here, so this term is directly given to you. So you write a 1 here, this term is given to you, write a 1 here, this term is not given to you, write a 0 here, and this term is given to you, write a 1 here. So your CRC generator will be 1011. Okay, so keep in mind that the question can also be given you like in this form, that what your CRC generator is given in polynomial form, so that this can also happen. Okay, so now keep in mind that if your CRC generator is of 4 bits, already know if your CRC generator is in 4 bits, your what you say, your CRC that you will send, it will be of 3 bits. And one other thing, I think one other thing that will be of okay, you have to add 3 zeros at the end. Okay, so there are two things: your CRC, that is your CRC, if you remember, this is your CRC. Okay, LSB 3 bits, and your you will add 3 zeros at the end of the sender's data. Okay, so you have to add 3 zeros at the end of sender's data. Okay. So again, you can solve it yourself if you are finding it difficult. So suppose tell me what will be the answer. So try to solve it yourself and send me the answer. Suppose I give you the data as 11010. So I have a question, just let me see. Yeah, it is 11010, and the CRC generator is given to you in the form of x raised to power 3 plus x plus 1. Okay, so now you have to tell me that from sender side what data you send. Okay, from sender side what will you send? Take like 5 minutes and tell me the answer of this one. Okay. Okay, share your answer in the group chat. Okay, so what will be the answer here?
Sir, 011.
011 नहीं, क्या सेंड करोगे?
Sir, 110011.
नहीं, ये नहीं है CRC। पहले तो मैं पूरा सेंडर का डेटा पूछ रहा हूँ। अगर तुम अकेला CRC बता रहे हो तो CRC मैं बता देता हूँ, वैसे तो निकाल ही दिया। तुम्हारा CRC जनरेटर तो ये है 1011। ओके, सो ये आपने बताना है सॉल्व करके। जो आपका CRC आएगा उससे आपने जो डेटा यहाँ पे देना है वो, ये चीज मैं आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ कि ये क्या होगी। तो अकेला CRC भी बता दोगे तो डेटा इज ऑलरेडी गिवन। सो टेल मी व्हाट विल बी द CRC हियर। Okay, so I'll solve it if you're not getting it. So the data is 11010. So your CRC generator is 1011. Okay, so you have to add 3 zeros to it. So I'm adding 3 zeros. You already know this. Now 1011. Now same 0, different 1, different 1, same 0. Okay, so write everything as it is, because if you do not write it in each steps, there may be you forget one thing to write it. So that is why I always write everything in every step. Okay, so 1011, Now different,
Zero.
different 0, and then there will be 3 zeros here. Okay, something like that. Okay, now again write 1 0 1 1, and then this is different, this is same, different, same. Okay, so remaining will be this. Now start with the leading one, that is 1 0 1 1 here. Now different, same, same, same. Okay, so I think it will be this. Okay, so the remaining terms that you will get, the remaining from the remainder you take the least significant 3 terms. Okay, so it will be 0 1 0. I think, yeah, someone got the answer right. So I think Ehsan got the answer right. So well done. So what you do, take this data, that is 1 1 0 1 0, and write 0 1 0 at the end, and you send it to the receiver. Okay. So that is how your CRC is calculated. So in the at the receiver side, if the receiver got the remainder as 0, so it means that you have sent the correct data. Okay. So that is how your CRC work. Okay. Okay, so CRC, again, the following steps are written here. Everything is there. One example is also there. So the main term to remember is that something called CRC generator. Okay, so that is your term in for which that is a term you have to give. This is your division term, so by which you will start to divide. Okay, so it will be 1011. It can be given in polynomial also. Okay, so it can happen. Another is CRC. Okay, CRC is something you add at the end of the data. Okay, so there are two things, and third thing is you have to add a number of zeros. Okay, so it will be n minus 1 number of zeros you have to end towards the data when you are calculating the CRC. Okay, so these three things, if you remember it, there will be no error. Okay, so everything is written there. So I think they have taken a different example, so you can follow it there. So it is your CRC remainder. So I'm calling this as CRC. So this particular thing will be sent across the data. So if you're seeing here, this is sent across the data, and in the end you will get the remainder of zeros. Okay, now you go back towards a checksum. Okay, so checksum is the simplest method here. So I'll again simply explain you what a checksum is. Okay, so checksum is again based on the same line, checksum. So okay, so what you do, if there, keep in mind, when we are transferring 32-bit data, this checksum is mostly used in data link layer, and when you are transferring only 16 bits of data. Okay, so because IP only contains 16 bits, so you will use it in IP addressing or in TCP or UDP, that is on your uh, transport layer. Okay, so leave this particular part, but the but how this checksum is calculated, if you understand it here, at how it is calculated in data link layer, you will understand it here as well. So the procedure is same, but just the difference is that it is calculated on 32 bits. It can be calculated on 8 bits as well. So it depends upon. So suppose I am calculating the checksum on 8-bit data. Okay, so now on 8-bit, now what I do, suppose you got some stream of data. Okay, so it is stream of data. So I'm dividing this data into 8 bits from the sender side. Okay, so on the sender side, I divided this data into 8 bits. So this is 8-bit, this is 8-bit, this is 8-bit, this is 8-bit, and this is it. Okay, so suppose this 8-bit data is in the stream form, that is 0 0 0 0 1 0 1 0. Okay, suppose it is, if you calculate it, it is 10. So this is decimal. In decimal term it is 10 here, so I'm not doing anything. I'm just saying that this particular 8 bits denotes a 10. Okay, so I'll calculate the decimal value of this, and suppose in the similar way at the next term you calculate it is 1. Okay, so suppose I'm not telling that you just convert it into decimal. So I'm just saying that there will be a stream of numbers here. So you whatever it is, because I have to add it. So I'm just, for simplicity, I'm taking that whatever is this stream. If you say this is a binary number, but in decimal it is 10. Okay, so it will be 0 0 0 0 0 0 1. Okay, so it is in 8 bits, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, so it is in decimal it is 1. Okay, so it, do understand it, it is in binary it is 10 written here. I'm not changing anything. Suppose it is 2 and something like 3, something like this. Okay, so again it will not be like 1 2 3, it can be different as well. Suppose I'm just simplifying this question, that this represent 10, this represent 1, this represent 2, this represent 3, and this represent 6, then 5, then 4, then 1, and then 2, something like this. Okay, so what do? You have to add the numbers that is given in this. So this is 8-bit number, this is also 8-bit, 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 everything is 8-bit. Okay, so you directly add, take the cumulative sum, so it is 11. It is 11, 11 plus 2 is 13, 13 plus 3 is 16, 16 plus 6 is 22, 22 plus 5 is 27, 27 plus 4 is 31, 31 plus 1 is 32, 32 plus 2 is 30. Okay, so you got the sum as 34. Now what you do, you add one more term here, that is your checksum. Okay, so now what you do in this checksum, you, whatever is the sum of the numbers, you take the negative of it. So I'm adding a negative at the end of these terms. Okay, so 10 1 2 3 6 5 4 1 2. Okay, so at the end of it I will add whatever I got by adding the all the numbers here, and I will add a minus to it. Okay, so when it will be sent across to the receiver here. Now what will the receiver do? Now when the receiver again calculate the whole number, so till here it will be 10 1 3 2 3 6 5 4 1 2 and then minus 34. Okay, so when till here, when the receiver, it only do the addition part. Okay, so till here it will find 34, and after it will add 34 minus 34. Okay, so again it is adding all the numbers that is present here. In the end it will get 0. Okay, so if it is getting a 0, it will say that I got the right answer. If it is not getting a 0, it will say there will be some kind of a loss during in the transmission medium. Okay, so it is as simple as that. So again, one thing that that most of you will be probably thinking, that when we are adding 8 bits data, when you are adding 8 bit data, it is possible that your result may be in 9 bits. Okay, so that can happen. So what you do, because I have divided this particular stream into 8-bit form, so it is 8, everything that depends upon that I'm performing a checksum on 8-bit terms. Okay, so that is one thing, keep in mind. Now what will happen is that when it is when you are adding something, there is something called a wraparound carry. Okay, wraparound carry. Okay, so now when you are adding two particular bits here, so suppose I'm adding this 2 bits, this is 1 0 0 0 0 1, and this something like this. Okay, so when I am adding it, it will be, there will be a carry, there is no problem in that, so that is fine. But what will happen here? Okay, so there is also a carry. When we are adding it, there is also a carry. Rather than writing it here, because I'm calculating 8-bit calculations here, so I cannot write a 9-bit number here. So what I'll do, I'll wrap around it. So I'll add the number 1 here. Okay, so keep that step in mind. So most of the time this particular step is not remembered, and if you study in the books, it is, this point is written, but mostly it is ignored. Okay, so when you're adding two 8-bit numbers, it is possible that the resulting number become 9-bit. So what you do, rather than adding a carry towards the at the extreme left, you wrap around it. Okay, so you take this carry here and you again added, your answer will be. So this is how your checksum calculation is always done. Okay, keep in mind. Okay? So again, if you check it in PPTs, the procedure is written here. So it is divided into 2 parts, something called a checksum generator, and this is called a checksum checker. Okay, so you can read about it. So I'll show you that this is section 1 and there are n bits here. So every n bit is added, and the checksum that is written at the end will be whatever is the data, and it is in the form of minus form. Okay, so we have taken, I can directly say that I have taken a ones complement of whatever is the form. Okay, so their complement written, so I'm written whatever is the sum, so I write the checksum will be the complement of it. Okay, so if it is 34, the sum is 34, whatever is the checksum, it will be minus 34. Okay, so at the receiver I have to add everything, and in the end I will find the answer is 0. Okay, so if it is 0, then I will say that my answer, that I got the right answer. If it is not 0, then you can directly say that there is a problem. Okay, so this is your error detection part. Okay, so error detection part. So now error correction is remaining, in that your Hamming code is remaining. Okay, so if you have studied in digital, I think if you have not studied in digital, I will teach you in CN. That will be applicable to digital electronics as well. Okay, so if you have studied Hamming distance and Hamming code, it's the same thing. But if you have not studied it, I will again show you the error correction part here. It will also tell you that at which part, at which position, yes, you're suppose you're sending this data, and it will, if this bit is corrupted to 1 here, so the receiver receives this particular data. So if you perform a Hamming code, it will also tell you that at second position you got the wrong data, and you can correct it. Okay, so this will be performed on the receiver side. We will discuss it tomorrow. Okay, so in the next lecture. Okay, so if you have any doubt, you know what to do. Otherwise you can move on to the next lecture.